If you own one of these 15 motorcycles, you've essentially purchased a useless two-wheeled humiliation device that's less reliable than your drunk uncle's advice. From design flops that make mopeds look like masterpieces to wallet drainers that die faster than your riding enthusiasm, here are 15 bikes that are now worthless. We're starting our countdown of financial ruin at number 15 with the Piat scooter from the 1950s. This Belgian-designed catastrophe that looks like someone took a washing machine, added wheels, and called it transportation. The styling department apparently consisted of appliance designers who'd never seen a motorcycle and were working from descriptions provided by people having fever dreams about household equipment. This mechanical disaster produced a whopping 9.5 horsepower from its 125C two-stroke engine, which is less power than most modern kitchen appliances and about as exciting as watching paint dry in slow motion during a rainstorm. The Piat weighs 200 pounds of pure disappointment wrapped in sheet metal that resembles household appliances more than actual transportation. This engineering embarrassment sold so badly, it became the punchline of every motorcycle joke in the 1950s, proving that even post-war optimism had its limits when confronted with truly terrible engineering decisions. You're not buying vintage charm or collector value. You're purchasing a rolling reminder that some ideas should have stayed on the drawing board, been burned, and never spoken of again. The few surviving examples are worth less than the scrap metal they're made from, making them perfect investments for people who enjoy losing money while looking ridiculous. Even scooter enthusiasts, who'll defend anything with two wheels and a step-through frame, pretend these don't exist and change the subject when they're mentioned at rallies. The depreciation curve on these disasters is so steep, it defies mathematical modeling, while insurance companies refuse coverage because they can't calculate premiums for something with negative value. If you thought number 15's appliance-inspired disaster was worthless, number 14 proves that revolutionary technology means absolutely nothing when it doesn't actually work. The Bimota V-Due from 1997 to 2000 promised to revolutionize motorcycling with cutting-edge direct fuel injection technology that was supposedly years ahead of its time. This Italian engineering marvel that weighs just 285 pounds and looks like a proper race bike should have been the future of motorcycling. The 500cc two-stroke V-twin produces 110 horsepower at 11,500 RPM, making it sound like a mechanical banshee having an existential crisis. The problem? The fueling system was so catastrophically bad that most bikes couldn't run for more than 5 minutes without major modifications, turning every ride into a mechanical emergency, requiring roadside assistance and professional counseling. You paid $16,000 in late 1990s money for a bike that spent more time being repaired than ridden, making it the most expensive garage ornament in motorcycle history. The direct injection system was so temperamental, it made Italian supercars seem reliable, which is an achievement that defies basic physics and common sense. Even by Moto collectors, who'll buy anything with the company logo, avoid these mechanical disasters like they're radioactive waste from failed nuclear experiments conducted by people who'd never seen atoms before. The resale market is so non-existent that dealers won't even accept these as trade-ins, preferring to maintain their reputations rather than associate with such spectacular engineering failures. That revolutionary disaster might have been worthless, but number 13 takes uselessness to adventure bike levels of disappointment. The Moto Morini Kanguro 350 from 1984 to 1987 was supposed to be Italy's answer to the growing adventure bike market, combining V-twin character with off-road capability. This Italian adventure bike that weighs 350 pounds and handles like a shopping cart with 3 broken wheels being pushed by someone having convulsions during an earthquake. The 344cc V-twin produces 27 horsepower, which is barely enough power to outrun determined pedestrians wearing proper running shoes from discount stores. The electrical system was designed by people who apparently thought electricity was optional, resulting in lights that work when they feel like it, and ignition systems that require daily prayers to mechanical deities. The suspension has all the sophistication of pogo sticks designed by people who'd never seen springs, while the brakes provide stopping power comparable to dragging your feet on the ground while hoping for divine intervention. Part support disappeared faster than your enthusiasm for Italian engineering, leaving owners stranded with expensive sculptures that occasionally start. You're not buying adventure capability or Italian passion. You're purchasing a 350-pound reminder that some motorcycles are designed to break your spirit, along with your bank account. The few surviving examples are worth less than their weight in scrap metal, making them perfect for people who enjoy mechanical suffering and financial loss. Even adventure bike enthusiasts, who will defend anything that looks vaguely off-road capable, cross the street to avoid these mechanical disasters and pretend they never existed in motorcycle history. The depreciation is so severe that owners often abandon them rather than pay storage fees, creating motorcycle graveyards filled with Italian disappointment. If number 13's adventure bike disaster seemed worthless, number 12 proves that Grand Prix pedigree means nothing when your bike can't finish a race. The AJS Porcupine E95 from 1949 to 1954 was designed to dominate Grand Prix racing and restore British motorcycle supremacy on international circuits. This rare racing machine that weighs 300 pounds and features advanced engineering that looked impressive on paper but failed spectacularly in reality. The 500cc parallel twin produces 45 horsepower at 7,200 RPM, designed with cutting-edge technology for its era. The air-cooled engine overheated faster than your patience with British engineering, while the ignition system misfired more often than it worked, creating a symphony of mechanical disappointment. Despite its prestigious racing heritage and advanced design, the Porcupine retired mid-race more often than it finished, making it the most expensive way to not win motorcycle races in the 1950s. You paid racing bike money for something that couldn't complete a lap without mechanical drama requiring pit crews and miracle workers. The few examples that survive are worth millions to collectors who've confused rarity with desirability and probably shouldn't be trusted with important financial decisions. You're not buying racing history. You're purchasing proof that advanced engineering means nothing when it doesn't actually function under racing conditions. Even British motorcycle enthusiasts, who'll defend anything with a Union Jack, quietly admit these were expensive mistakes that should have stayed in the development phase until someone figured out how to make them work properly. The irony is that these failures are now worth more broken than they ever were running, creating a perverse market where mechanical dysfunction increases value. That racing disaster might have been worthless, but number 11 creates a whole new category of useless with its identity crisis on two wheels. The Gilera DNA 125 from 2000 to 2009 was supposed to bridge the gap between scooters and motorcycles, creating something that appealed to both markets. This scooter motorcycle hybrid that weighs 285 pounds and looks like someone couldn't decide between two-wheeled categories and chose the worst possible compromise available in the marketplace. The 125cc four-stroke single produces 11 horsepower, which is less power than most lawnmowers and about as exciting as watching grass grow in real time. The styling resembles a toy designed by people who'd never seen real motorcycles and were working from children's drawings created during art therapy sessions. The reliability problem started immediately and never stopped, turning every ride into a mechanical adventure requiring roadside assistance and professional counseling for trauma-related stress disorders. You're not buying innovative design or Italian engineering. You're purchasing a 285-pound joke that makes other riders question your decision-making abilities and mental state. The DNA 125 was mocked by both scooter and motorcycle communities for being too weird for either category, leaving owners in mechanical limbo with expensive mistakes that satisfied nobody. Even Gilera dealers struggled to explain what these things were supposed to be, often recommending customers buy literally anything else instead. The few surviving examples are worth less than their plastic fairings, making them perfect investments for people who enjoy being laughed at while losing money on transportation that doesn't transport anything effectively. The depreciation curve resembles a cliff face, while the resale market consists entirely of people who've made similar poor decisions and want company in their misery. If you thought number 11's identity crisis was useless, number 10 proves that copying successful bikes badly creates worthless disasters. The Suzuki Madura 1200 from 1985 to 1986 was designed to compete with Yamaha's legendary VMAX, bringing Japanese reliability to the muscle cruiser market. This Japanese cruiser that weighs 650 pounds and handles like a freight train that's given up on reaching its destination and decided to become a very heavy, very slow obstacle instead. The 1,157cc V4 engine produces 116 horsepower, which sounds impressive until you realize it's wrapped in styling that looks like someone described a motorcycle to designers who'd never seen one and were working from second-hand descriptions provided during telephone conversations. Suzuki aimed this mechanical disaster at riders who wanted VMAX performance, but got something demonstrably inferior in every measurable category that actually matters to motorcyclists. The Madura is heavy, where it should be light, slow where it should be fast, and ugly where it should be attractive, achieving the worst aspects of cruiser design with impressive consistency. You're not buying Japanese reliability or V4 performance. You're purchasing proof that copying successful motorcycles badly creates expensive mistakes that make the originals look even better by comparison. The few surviving examples are worth less than their engines, which can be used to power more attractive motorcycles. Even Suzuki enthusiasts, who will defend anything with the company logo, pretend these never existed and change the subject when they're mentioned at motorcycle gatherings or historical discussions. The market value has dropped so low that scrap dealers offer more for the metal content than collectors pay for complete running examples. That copying disaster might have been worthless, but number 9 takes uselessness to commuter bike levels of disappointment. The Kawasaki GTO 110 from the late 1970s to 80s was supposed to provide reliable, economical transportation for budget-conscious riders. This Japanese commuter that weighs 180 pounds and was built with the structural integrity of cardboard boxes assembled during thunderstorms by people wearing blindfolds. The 106cc two-stroke single produces 8 horsepower, which is barely enough power to outrun mobility scooters driven by elderly people who've given up on life. The two-stroke engine produces more smoke than power, creating environmental disasters that would make coal plants seem clean and efficient by comparison. The braking system provides stopping power comparable to dragging tree branches behind the bike while hoping for divine intervention and favorable wind conditions. You're not buying reliable transportation or Japanese engineering. You're purchasing a smoke-belching disaster that makes walking seem like a reasonable alternative. The GTO 110 was infamous for fragile construction that made origami seem durable, while the build quality suggested assembly by people who'd never seen motorcycles and were working from instructions written in languages they couldn't read. Even budget commuter bike enthusiasts avoided these mechanical disasters like they were contagious diseases. The few surviving examples are worth less than their scrap metal value, making them perfect for people who enjoy mechanical suffering while contributing to air pollution and noise ordinances violations in residential neighborhoods. The depreciation happened so quickly that many owners simply abandoned them rather than pay for proper disposal, creating environmental hazards that outlasted their usefulness. If number 9's commuter disaster seemed useless, number 8 proves that bland performance creates worthless motorcycles. The Cagiva River 600 from 1995 to 2002 was designed to be the perfect commuter naked bike, combining Italian styling with practical performance. This Italian naked bike that weighs 400 pounds and handles like a refrigerator with delusions of being a motorcycle. The 572cc 4-stroke single produces 40 horsepower, which sounds adequate until you realize the performance is so uninspiring that test riders fell asleep during evaluations. The styling looks like someone took a perfectly functional motorcycle and removed everything interesting, leaving behind expensive blandness. This mechanical mediocrity was designed to be everything to everyone and succeeded at being nothing to anyone, creating automotive disappointment that would make accountants seem exciting by comparison. The handling suggests engineering by people who'd never encountered corners and thought motorcycles only traveled in straight lines on perfectly flat surfaces. You're not buying Italian passion or naked bike excitement. You're purchasing proof that trying to please everyone results in disappointing everyone. Cagiva couldn't find buyers for these mechanical disasters, even when they offered significant discounts and extended warranties, proving that some motorcycles are so boring they make public transportation seem thrilling. Even naked bike enthusiasts, who'll ride anything without fairings, avoided these bland disasters and recommended customers buy literally anything else that might provide some excitement or personality. The resale market is so weak that dealers use them as paperweights rather than attempting to sell them to unsuspecting customers. That bland disaster might have been worthless, but number 7 takes uselessness to scooter levels with style over substance. The ItalJet Velocifero from 1994 to 2003 promised retro styling with modern reliability, targeting riders who wanted classic looks with contemporary performance. This Italian scooter that weighs 250 pounds and was assembled with the attention to detail typically reserved for temporary structures built during emergencies by people who'd never used tools before. The 125 cc 4-stroke single produces 12 horsepower, wrapped in retro styling that looked impressive in advertisements but fell apart in reality like expensive origami during rainstorms. The engine produces less power than most kitchen appliances while consuming fuel like a much larger machine, creating the worst possible combination of performance and efficiency that defies basic physics and common sense. The retro styling promised classic elegance, but delivered modern disappointment with vintage-inspired unreliability. The shoddy assembly meant every Velocifero was essentially a custom bike, but not in a good way that adds value or personality. Each one broke differently, creating unique patterns of mechanical failure that would interest engineers studying how not to build motorcycles. You're not buying Italian design or retro charm. You're purchasing expensive proof that pretty pictures don't guarantee functional motorcycles. Even scooter enthusiasts, who'll defend anything with automatic transmissions and step-through frames, avoided these stylish disasters and recommended customers buy more reliable transportation that might actually function as intended. The depreciation was so rapid that many examples were worth less than their individual components within months of purchase, creating financial disasters that made payday loans seem reasonable by comparison. If number 7's stylish disaster seemed worthless, number 6 proves that BMW can create cruiser catastrophes. The BMW R1200C Montauk from 2004 was designed to be BMW's answer to Harley-Davidson, bringing German engineering to American cruiser culture. This German cruiser that weighs 570 pounds and handles like a touring bike that's forgotten how to tour, while looking like someone described American cruisers to designers who'd never left Bavaria and were working from tourist postcards. The 1,170cc Boxer Twin produces 61 horsepower, which sounds reasonable until you realize the riding position combines the worst aspects of cruiser and touring geometry, ensuring discomfort for riders of all sizes and preferences. BMW examined successful cruiser design and decided to ignore everything that worked, creating expensive proof that German engineering doesn't automatically improve every motorcycle category. The Montauk was mocked for awkward proportions that made riders look like they were operating construction equipment rather than motorcycles. You're not buying German reliability or cruiser comfort. You're purchasing BMW's most embarrassing attempt at American-style motorcycling that satisfied neither German nor American riders. The few surviving examples are worth less than standard R1200C models, which weren't particularly valuable to begin with. Even BMW enthusiasts, who'll defend anything with the round L logo, quietly admit these were expensive mistakes that should have stayed in the concept phase until someone figured out what they were supposed to be. The market rejection was so complete that BMW dealers couldn't give them away, often using them as service loaners that customers refused to ride. That German disaster might have been worthless, but number 5 takes uselessness to exotic levels with V8 disappointment. The Morbidelli V8 from 1994 was designed to showcase V8 technology in motorcycle form. creating the ultimate exotic machine for wealthy enthusiasts. This Italian exotic that weighs 485 pounds and costs more than most people's houses while delivering mediocre performance that would embarrass budget motorcycles. The 847cc V8 engine produces 120 horsepower, which sounds impressive until you realize the riding position was designed for people with abnormal proportions, ensuring discomfort for anyone with standard human anatomy. The V8 engine produces an impressive sound but delivers performance comparable to much cheaper motorcycles with conventional engines, making it the most expensive way to achieve ordinary results. This mechanical monument to excess succeeded only at proving that some engines don't belong between two wheels, no matter how impressive they sound on paper. You're not buying exotic performance or Italian engineering. You're purchasing proof that complexity doesn't guarantee superiority in motorcycle design. Morbidelli built very few examples before realizing that expensive doesn't automatically mean desirable, leaving owners with exotic paperweights that occasionally make impressive noises. The maintenance costs exceed most people's annual salaries, ensuring your investment continues depreciating while draining your bank account. Even exotic motorcycle collectors, who will buy anything rare and expensive, avoid these V8 disasters and recommend customers invest in more conventional motorcycles that might actually provide enjoyable riding experiences. The few examples that change hands do so at prices that make sellers weep and buyers question their sanity. If number 5's exotic disaster seemed worthless, number 4 proves that experimental designs create useless motorcycles. The Yamaha XV920R from 1981 to 1983 was designed to combine sporty performance with shaft drive reliability, creating something that would appeal to performance-oriented riders who wanted low maintenance. This Japanese experiment that weighs 485 pounds and handles like someone tried to make a sport bike out of touring bike components while blindfolded during an earthquake. The 920cc V-twin produces 78 horsepower, but the shaft drive adds weight and complexity while removing the direct connection that makes motorcycling exciting and engaging. Yamaha couldn't decide if this was a sport bike, touring bike, or standard motorcycle, creating mechanical confusion that satisfied nobody and appealed to no specific market segment. The styling looks like committee decisions made by people who couldn't agree on anything and compromised on everything, resulting in a motorcycle that excelled at nothing while disappointing everyone. You're not buying Japanese innovation or V-twin character. You're purchasing proof that trying to be everything to everyone results in being nothing to anyone. The XV920R failed in every target market because it didn't excel at anything specific or memorable, leaving owners with expensive mistakes that confused mechanics and embarrassed riders. Even Yamaha enthusiasts, who'll defend most company products, pretend these experimental disasters never existed and recommend customers buy more focused motorcycles that actually succeed at their intended purposes. The depreciation was so severe that many owners simply walked away from their loans rather than continue payments on worthless transportation that made walking seem like a reasonable alternative. That experimental disaster might have been worthless, but number 3 takes uselessness to overcomplicated levels. The Benelli 254 from 1977 to 1984 was designed to showcase 4-cylinder technology in a small package, proving that Italian engineers could create sophisticated motorcycles in any displacement category. This Italian engineering exercise that weighs 350 pounds and requires more maintenance than motorcycles, with twice the displacement and actual performance capabilities. The 231cc 4-cylinder engine produces 28 horsepower, which sounds sophisticated until you realize the complexity of maintaining 4 cylinders, 4 carburetors, and associated systems in a 250 cubic centimeter package exceeds the mechanical abilities of most owners and many professional mechanics. This mechanical nightmare succeeded only at proving that some concepts should remain theoretical exercises rather than production motorcycles. The weight-to-power ratio makes mobility scooters seem like performance machines, while the maintenance requirements would bankrupt most riders and drive mechanics to early retirement or career changes involving less complicated machinery. You're not buying Italian engineering or four-cylinder sophistication. You're purchasing a mechanical nightmare that makes simple motorcycles seem like genius-level design. The 254 was slow, heavy, and expensive to maintain, achieving the worst possible combination of characteristics that would make rational people choose walking as a more practical transportation option. Even Benelli enthusiasts, who appreciate Italian engineering complexity, avoided these overcomplicated disasters and recommended simpler motorcycles that might actually function reliably. The few surviving examples are worth less than their individual carburetors, making them perfect investments for people who enjoy mechanical suffering while losing money on transportation that barely transports anything effectively. The maintenance costs often exceeded the bike's value within the first year of ownership, creating financial disasters that made payday loans seem reasonable and well-planned by comparison. If number 3's overcomplicated disaster seemed worthless, number 2 proves that police endorsement doesn't guarantee civilian appeal. The Velocette LE from 1948 to 1970 was designed specifically for police use, creating the perfect patrol motorcycle that prioritized reliability and quietness over excitement or performance. This British police special that weighs 350 pounds and was engineered to be quiet, reliable, and completely joyless, achieving all 3 objectives with impressive consistency that would make funeral directors seem enthusiastic by comparison. The 192cc water-cooled flat twin produces 8 horsepower, while the water cooling system adds complexity, and the flat twin engine produces less excitement than most household appliances. Police departments loved these mechanical sedatives because they were quiet, reliable, and removed any possibility that officers might enjoy their motorcycles or develop enthusiasm for two-wheeled patrol duty. Civilian riders avoided them like they were contagious diseases that might drain their passion for motorcycling, creating a market so weak that dealers often sold them at losses just to clear inventory space. You're not buying British engineering or police heritage, you're purchasing proof that designing motorcycles specifically to be boring succeeds spectacularly at creating worthless transportation. The LE was so uninspiring that it made walking seem like an exciting alternative transportation method, while the civilian market rejection was so complete that most examples ended up in police fleets, where excitement went to die. Even British motorcycle enthusiasts, who will defend anything with proper heritage and engineering pedigree, quietly admit these were expensive mistakes that should have remained police-only equipment rather than civilian torture devices. The few civilian examples that survive are worth less than their individual components, making them perfect for people who want to experience what it's like to ride a motorcycle designed specifically to eliminate joy from transportation. And finally, we reach our number 1 worthless disaster, the ultimate monument to mechanical mediocrity. At our number 1 is the CZ350, Type 472.6. From the 1980s was built in communist Czechoslovakia as proof that centrally planned economies could produce motorcycles that competed with Western machines. This Czechoslovakian disaster weighs 380 pounds and was assembled with the attention to detail typically reserved for temporary structures built during wartime emergencies by people who'd never seen proper tools or manufacturing equipment. The 343cc parallel twin produces 26 horsepower through a 5-speed transmission, but the gearbox rattles like a box of angry mechanical parts trying to escape their metal prison, while the transmission feels like shifting through gravel mixed with broken glass and disappointment. The finish quality suggests painting during thunderstorms by people wearing blindfolds, while the electrical system was designed by individuals who thought electricity was optional and wiring was merely decorative. Every panel rattles, every joint leaks, and every ride becomes an endurance test that would interest medieval torture specialists and modern masochists with questionable judgment. You're not buying Eastern European engineering or communist-era reliability. You're purchasing the ultimate proof that some motorcycles are so worthless they make walking seem like luxury transportation. The CZ350 Type 472.6 represents everything wrong with centrally planned motorcycle production and quality control that prioritized meeting quotas over creating functional vehicles that people might actually want to own. The few surviving examples are worth less than their individual bolts, making them perfect investments for people who enjoy mechanical suffering while contributing to noise pollution and environmental disasters in residential neighborhoods. Even communist motorcycle enthusiasts who appreciate Eastern Bloc engineering philosophy cross the street to avoid these mechanical disasters and pretend they never existed in motorcycle history. This worthless disaster proves that unlimited government resources don't guarantee functional motorcycles, while demonstrating that some bikes are so bad they make every other motorcycle seem like engineering masterpieces by comparison. The depreciation was so complete that many examples were simply abandoned when they broke down, creating motorcycle graveyards across Eastern Europe filled with mechanical disappointment and shattered dreams. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.